So today we're going to do a monthly update on the 90p. I'm a little late, like a couple weeks late to this upload. I usually do it consistently, on the dot of the first week of the month. But I kind of ran into some problems and I kind of wanted to fix those before I showed you guys the tank again, because also the monthly update's only once a month, so I just want to have it in its best state. Obviously, I show you guys the tank no matter how bad it looks sometimes. I mean, obviously you can see my setups in the beginning of all my setups, and not all of them look great sometimes, but I still show them. But there's a little bit of algae issue that was going on in this tank. Nothing too serious. I just switched back to tropical fertilizer, and I kind of regret that a lot. And it basically brought back all the algae again, because obviously with all-in-one fertilizers, you got to dose a lot more, and that just ended up causing a lot of algae. So I went back to using the 88 ferts like I've been doing, and it's been better ever since. It's literally just changed right back. Obviously, you can kind of see the rocks are still kind of slightly covered, but no big deal. It'll all clean up eventually. But last month, I really don't know what we talked about. I know I really updated on the plant growth, but there's a lot of things that have kind of changed since then. I mean, you probably see automatically if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably haven't seen this tank since the last update, or the latest video. But you can see the back stems are looking really good. This pearl weed over here is finally coming in real nice, and then I recently just trimmed this pearl weed over here. That obviously we're gonna have that similar bush like we have right here, but I'm slowly cutting that. I cut that halfway so that I can really bush up like this one has. This one's starting to look really good. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting to the point where it's really matching. These back stems. It's really coming in nicely. You can see it's really starting to fill in real good, nice. But I just trimmed it like not a couple hours ago, and did a water change. So that's why they're freshly cut like this. But they were like, I had a lot of growth. They were almost up to the top this time, the highest growth I've ever had out of the stems, and I think everything's just finally starting to really establish well this time, and because the stems have never been this tall, like at this fast. I mean, in 2 weeks they were up on the surface, which has never happened. I mean, they've grown pretty well, but this was like really at a tremendous speed for this setup. So I think this tank's finally gonna finally, it's picking up now, and I really like that. There's still a few things I'll show you guys here in a minute that's still kind of struggling, but for the most part, I mean, the tank's finally coming together like I want it to. So yeah, like I said, I trimmed these backs, and you can see I'm starting to be able to shape them like I wanted to. You can see kind of the look I was going for now. You might even, especially over here, this is really what it's supposed to look like with the pearl weed, and then this side will look exactly like the same. So I'll have that arch right here. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. But that's kind of the whole look I was going for this whole time, and it kind of sucks because obviously, with the scape, how the original scape was actually supposed to be, with the rocks were supposed to be way higher, and these stems are supposed to, basically how it's supposed to look right now. These stems are really supposed to be like pretty much out the surface and covering pretty much the whole back. But obviously, that's one thing that I regret when I saved this is I just didn't think about that when I was scaping it, and I knew I was going to do that the whole time, but I just totally passed it off. But which kind of sucks, but trial and error, and we learn from our mistakes. So hopefully, escapes going on. I'll make sure especially under the substrate, adding more like live rock or just a cheap rock underneath, so I could really keep it. Because even we did have a big hill back here. I mean, I had probably 9 inches of soil back here, and this is way taller now. That it's slowly kind of shrinking down. It's slowly getting flatter and flatter over time, and that's also because it's just substrate. And if you just have substrate, the hill's slowly going to just flatten itself out over time. It's just how it works. So that's why it's always good to have some type of underneath, good dense stuff like a rock or like a bag of media, something that's gonna keep that hill in structure for long term. But again, like this is one of those tanks that is gonna get rescaped probably year after year. So I mean, I think how it is, I think it's just fine. So other update, I think the last update it was looking pretty good too, but you can kind of see the Monte Carlo's really growing in now. There's still a lot like dead growth underneath, but it's starting finally to pick up now to where the new growth's really taking over. So it's starting to actually look pretty decent instead of having like a mix of dead and new. So it's starting to really look real green now and really covering. It's starting to spread basically everywhere now. So it's even kind of creeping up on the rocks a little bit, so that's kind of nice. And then you can see the S-Repins. I think last update we had that in there. I'm not sure, Yeah, I'm not sure if I actually showed you guys, but I actually did go ahead and replant the S. bush, and then I added the S. repens bush over here too. And I'll show you up close here in a second. But this is starting to actually fill in really nice. And for some reason, this has always struggled for some reason. And I don't know what, it looks like it is growing back, so that's nice. But I just don't know what's going on with this side and why the S. repens are not growing. They will grow anywhere else in the tank, but over here, I don't know if it's something with the substrate over there. I just don't know. So. But it's dying off, but it looks like, you know, there's new stems coming out from the bottom, so hopefully over time that will just fix itself. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then some Boost Red Mini, I glued some new ones that I said I was going to do, so I actually did buy some. And I planted them throughout the rocks here, so hopefully those kind of take over too. Just to give, you know, the rocks a little more detail here in the front. And then the Nubius are doing pretty well. This one's really taken off real nicely. And this one's taken off. You can kind of barely see it, but it is grown, you know, quite a few new leaves. So hopefully those will really just kind of keep growing and growing, and I think it'll look pretty nice over time. And then yeah, I trimmed my AR mini bush over here today too. I kind of it was kind of creeping over the rock a little too much, so I kind of trimmed that back a little bit. But I actually didn't really mind it that much. Creeping over the rocks, it looks kind of cool like that. It really kind of blends that rock into the scape, but I kind of trimmed back too much because the AR mini is kind of covering that shrub a little bit, so I just had to keep it somewhat back, just so the light can penetrate through there. And then we still got the bonsai. The bonsai in this corner is going nuts. It just keeps growing and growing, and I had to trim it like so much just to get that new pro growing back there. So I might even have to trim it even more, but it's just getting a crazy big bush back there. But we'll have to continue to probably keep trimming that, because even new growth is still gonna all just grow back like crazy. But, and then, yeah, everything else, I mean, obviously we got some AR mini right here, and bonsai over here, and bonsai right there. That didn't really update there. Just all been the same, just still growing. But yeah, other than that, like every plant-wise, escape-wise, you know, health of the tank, everything's looking pretty good. You know, I think I had all these ember touches in the last update. I'm just not sure. I always forget what I have to talk about. But also, we got all of our ember touches in here. I think that's just going to be our school for this tank. I don't see me doing anything else in here, you know, schooling wise, or, you know, just, you know, your mid and top swimmers. You know, also we got the German ramp still in here, and then we got some corridors, which I don't think you guys have seen those either, so I'll show you guys them too when I get a second. And then I also added 2 albino bristlenose plectos. I know like 2, especially if they're like both males, they might fight, but I got the one, it was like, you know, it's super itty bitty, like inch, like it literally it's only like an inch big. But then I got another one because this one looks super sweet. It's not so much an albino where it's kind of transparent almost. This one, I can, if he's out, I'll show you guys. He's just like a pure white, and then he has a super cool black stripe on the end of his fin. So he looks really sweet, and he looks really cool, so I had to get him. So I have 2 in here, but I think they'll do fine. And I don't know if they'll be long-term either. I just mainly put them in this tank because after the algae issue, I just, you know, have the, because my brushes don't really get this green spot algae. Once it gets on there, it's just super hard. Even with the toughest wire brushes, they're just impossible to get off. So hopefully those bristlenoses over time will kind of munch on that rock, and hopefully, you know, over time that algae just kind of fade off that rock. After over time, then the mono shrimp, the neorites, and then all the plecos, they all kind of graze on that rock. Hopefully it just all kind of cleans it back up over time, because that's why it looks like this right now, because I literally cannot get it off. And now the only way to get it off is probably literally taking the rock out and power washing it. That's probably the only way that algae is ever going to actually physically get off the rock. And so I'll just leave it in there. It honestly doesn't look that bad. I'll show you guys when I turn it around. It doesn't look that bad at all. But yeah, and then yeah, we still got our mono ships in here. They're doing pretty good. I don't know how many I have in here at this point. I mean, obviously we had some struggles at first with keeping the monos alive for some reason. I don't know why they just weren't doing so well in this tank when everything was fine. But these monos have been here for like a month now, so I think the tank is at the point now where it's doing fine. But invertebrates are so sensitive that I think with inverting this to RO water and then the big changes to this tank, I think that's what was really killing off the shrimp. So now that everything's just stable, I think that's what fixed it. So, and then we also have some autocyclists still in here. I don't know how many there is at this point. I mean, there's at least a dozen in here. So yeah, we have pretty much the ultimate cleaning crew in this tank. We have so much stuff going on. but which is nice. I mean, I have like the best possible cleaning crew that you could ever have in a tank. Really, when it comes to freshwater, you know, we got the nearite snails, we got the plecos, we got the monitor, we got some corridors, we got some model singles. I mean, that's like all the. If you look at top 5 algae eaters for planted aquariums, I mean that's all of them. So makes it pretty nice. You know, the corridors graze off the sand a little bit. You know, not really keeping it clean, but at least they, you know, eat off whatever's on it. They do a good job at kind of cleaning up the plants too if they have any debris on it, and then obviously the monos do the same. But yeah, I'll kind of show you guys real quick. This video is getting super long, but if you guys are still watching, give you guys a little update. So yeah, so you guys can see the look I'm kind of going for now with the trimming. This wasn't as like my last trim, you guys didn't get to see that, but Instagram probably saw it, but it was way more dramatic, like the curve. This one, I just kind of slightly curved it, but it still looks pretty good. But you can kind of see like the overall look that it's eventually going to look like. That's kind of the look I'm going for. Then obviously that probably is going to tie in there, and it's going to be like one big bush. So you could imagine when that looks like that over there, it's going to look actually pretty sweet, I think. But, and especially when this kind of slightly turns red again, and we have the atria. And hopefully, I mean, I don't mind it staying green as long as, you know, the tips turn red. I think that'll look pretty cool. And, you know, yeah, this is the S-Reps I'm talking about. So yeah, you can see that's filling in real nice. So that's really, I really do like that look. So I'm definitely going to keep those S-Reps growing right there. I wouldn't even mind it if it grew like even around this rock a little bit. I think that would look really neat. And then, yeah, this is what I was talking about here. See how this S-Repens is like not doing so well? You can see like there's new growth coming in. So hopefully it's just a little melting and then it'll come back. So that's what I'm really hoping is going to happen. But we'll just have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, see the color of the stems are looking really nice again. They're still a little bit yellow, but their color is coming back again. After I switch back to 88, the 88 first really seemed to bring the color out of these plants way more. And then you can see back here, you can see all the pro weed that's growing. I planted all new pro weed too, and it looks like actually, yeah, you can kind of see it. You can see all the new growth over there. So hopefully that will just start growing, and hopefully it's gonna take time before this actually comes in again. Hopefully it won't take as long as this one, but it takes a while for pro weed to really get really bushy like that. You gotta constantly trim it, and it takes a while. So even this one's not over here. It's not even perfect. You can see it's kind of just all over the place, but at least it's coming in. It looks pretty good. So doing pretty well over there. But yeah, I got some real, these ember tetras grow so well. Looks so cool in this tank. But yeah, the tank's looking pretty good. I'm not going to keep you guys for much longer, so if you're still watching, thanks for watching. If you have any other questions on this tank or equipment, any questions on aquariums in general, you can definitely hit me up in the comments or follow me on Instagram at JJ and you can probably message me on there, or, you know, follow my account for more behind the scenes content. But yeah, other than that, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.